Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Football and F1 show. As today, I'm going to talk about some transfer news, some football news recently, and also we're going to preview the Community Shield final between um, Crystal Palace and Liverpool. I'm going to only talk about football, so let's drive straight into it. First, Son Heung-min signing for LAFC. That's a very good signing for LAFC. As I said before, I mentioned this transfer before, I think, but it's now confirmed. It's a very good signing. Obviously, he's in a bit of a decline now. You know, 33 years old. You know, not what he's used to be before. Great player, one of the best wingers in the world, arguably. And last 12 months he's had a bit of a decline. You could say that. So he had to leave, and he said himself he had to leave Tottenham and join LFC. Obviously, he's had a great farewell from the fans, said goodbyes, etc. And he's had a wonderful career at Tottenham. But now he's going to have a new journey. He's going to start a new journey, which is in America for LAFC. And MLS, you know, they have great players, great teams. Obviously, Inter Miami, one of them. Vancouver Whitecaps also signed Thomas Müller. So I think Son Heung-min should enjoy his experience in MLS. Newcastle United have another player rejected. You know, you look at the list of players that rejected Newcastle this summer. Benjamin Sesko, João Pedro, Mbeumo, Mohamed Kudus, Ekitike, Cunha, Delap, Mark Gay, James Trafford, and Dean Hutchison, and also with Alexander Isak also wanting to leave. I mean, it's for sure been a difficult transfer window and a transfer window to forget for the Geordies. They've signed players though, but not to some of the players that they would have liked. With all due respect to them, until Lang and Aaron Ramsdale. I mean, people talk about PSR, etc., which I can understand why in the last summer transfer window, if you talk about last year's summer transfer window, they didn't attempt that many players to sign, except Mark Gui. But this transfer window, they've attempted to sign so many players. So you can't really say it's the fault of PSR. And they're playing in Champions League football right now. They're back in the Champions League, I should say. And they've had so many players rejected. It's incredible because Newcastle, when they had that takeover years ago, the Saudi 2021, we all thought they could become the new Manchester City. They could become the new Paris Saint-Germain. They could become the new Chelsea, where they bring a rich owner and they start to dominate football again. Start dominating football as a club and be a new powerhouse of football going forward, like Manchester City did, Paris Saint-Germain did, Chelsea did. But that takeover looks like it's not looking good at all. The project is not looking good at all. Yeah, in terms of results, they've done well. You know, playing Champions League football, getting Champions League football twice, winning first trophy in many years. But not only is because of the pull of Newcastle United is not so big, because listen, Newcastle United as a fan base, they're a big club, but as a history, in terms of compared to Manchester United, compared to Liverpool's and all these worlds, compared to Chelsea, they're not bigger than them. They're not. And I would also question this. Is it also because of the place? Because I don't think many players would rather live in Newcastle than living in, you know, for example, in Liverpool or Manchester or London. I don't think they would like living in Newcastle. So maybe that's the reason why that's stopping some players from going to Newcastle. Yes, I know they've signed some great players like Bruno Guimaraes, etc., Isak, etc. But maybe the players like Mohamed Kudus, etc., they rejected to not live there. It's not what their family want, and also maybe Newcastle have not given them the right wages, the wages they want. So it's a mix of couple of reasons. One, you could say they don't want to live in place of Newcastle, which I understand why. There are better places to live in in England, like Liverpool, Manchester, etc. Even though Manchester, a lot of the time, it rains. But maybe the project is not so exciting to them, and maybe also because it's not a big club like Liverpool or United. Listen, Newcastle are a good club, they're a great club, but it's not a bigger club than United, than Liverpool, than Chelsea, than Arsenal. It's not. It's not. That's a fact. And I also have to. You have to also feel a bit sorry for Newcastle fans because they've wanted this takeover for years, and for them to not experiencing that, for them to feel like that takeover was like a false dream, that actually they're not going to dominate the way City did or PSG did or Chelsea did. You have to feel sorry for Newcastle fans. Yes, okay, they got a trophy, they got Champions League football a couple of times, but let's be honest. When they had that takeover happen, what we all know, what we all of us as football fans thought of, they're going to compete for winning. They're going to compete to win the Champions League. They're going to compete to win the Premier League. They're not going. They're not going to compete to win the Champions League this season. They're not going to compete to win the Premier League this season. And I thought that, for them, especially Newcastle, getting back to Champions League football and also winning a trophy, I thought that would give them a huge boost going forward. It would help them getting a good transfer window so that they maybe have a better chance of even competing for the title. But it's been absolute disaster for them for the transfer window. There's still time. There's still a couple of weeks as the transfer window ends, so they can still sign some players. But when you see the level of players, how many players have rejected Newcastle, for sure it does not look good for Newcastle at all. And maybe Newcastle is not so attracted to those players. Maybe the pull of Newcastle going to Newcastle is not so attractive to those players like United is. Listen, United are even in their 15th or 16th. Playing for Manchester United is like, you're playing for a big club. You're playing for a club that you think like you can take them back to the glories. I think that's maybe a reason why Benjamin Sesko chose to go Manchester United, than Newcastle United, because he thought like I could take Manchester United back to the glory days. I want to play for a bigger club. So, like if you ask players when they are as a kid, what is your dream to play for? Who would you rather play for? If you ask players who are very very young, and you ask the kids, would you rather to play for Manchester United or Newcastle United? I think most of them say Manchester United, no matter how bad they are, because United as a club, they are huge worldwide. So, yeah. Al Hilal are gonna sign Darwin Núñez, who, yeah, he's had a up and down career at Liverpool, that's for sure. Not a good career, that's for sure. Yeah, in terms of winning trophies, good, but in terms of what we've expected him, especially Liverpool signing him like something like 80 million years ago, we all thought like he could compete even with Haaland for winning the Golden Boot for the Premier League. But he's been a disaster of a transfer, I have to say. Missing chances, missing goals. He's been a bit of a laughing stock, I have to say. He's a decent player, but at times he does not think enough wisely. So I think that's the problem. Sorry, one of my friends was making some disturbance. But as I said, like Darwin Núñez, he's been a bit of a laughing stock for Liverpool, missing chances, missing open goals. He's a decent player, but he does not think enough wisely. So I think that's the problem. And also, yes, he's obviously had lots of support from the fans and for the coaches, but he's not helped himself at all, with missing constantly chances. So, yeah. Thomas Müller, who's played for Bayern Munich for many years, is going to join Vancouver Whitecaps. Vancouver Whitecaps to sign from MLS. Again, he's going to have a great experience in MLS, just like Son Heung-min. James Maddison suffered a huge injury in this pre-season, as he suffered an ACL rupture. It's going to take him out for 6-7 months, and also he's going to have surgery upcoming days. With the guy's been so unlucky with so many injuries he's had. I feel sorry for him because he's a quality player. You know, his first season at Tottenham, I thought he was very good. Second season, not so much. Although he scored in Europa League semi-final, which helped Tottenham play in the Europa League final and led to them winning it. He didn't play in the final because he was injured, unfortunately. And now he's suffered another injury, a big injury as well. He's a quality player, he's a very good player, but injury has clearly ruined him a couple of times, which is a shame to see because I'm a big fan of James Maddison. I think he's a very quality player who could score goals, get assists, make something happen. He's a good creative player, and I like him as a person as well because he's not afraid to say what he thinks. But at the same time, and he's like a real human. He's not like some players who are, you know, the PR trained, like let's say. But at the same time, like, yeah, so many injuries he's had, which when you start to think like, does he manage his fitness well? That's the problem. So, yeah. Benjamin Sesko is going to join Manchester United. Manchester United have signed some great players. There's good players this transfer window: Cunha, Mateus Cunha, Mbuemo, and now Benjamin Sesko, who's a good player for Leipzig. And now, when I say this, I know some people say, one of the people might say, message me privately and say, why you said Arsenal shouldn't sign him if he's a good player? Listen, for the level of where Manchester United are right now, Sesko is a good signing for Manchester United. But because Arsenal are trying to fight for the title and they want to win a title, Sesko is good enough for clubs like United because United are not fighting for the title, right? You know, but he's not good enough for Arsenal because Arsenal are trying to fight for the title with City and Liverpool, and Arsenal need the best players they can to fight for the title. Sesko is a good player, don't get me wrong, and it might help United, but you know, Sesko is good enough for United, but he's not good enough for Arsenal because Arsenal are trying to compete for the title, whereas United, they're trying to, you know, finish better than 15, like finish in the top 6, let's say. So that's why United are right now, because let's be honest, and it's a good signing. It's a good signing. They've made some good signings, and sensible signings. Not like they tried this summer transfer window and splash the cash and try to sign some superstars. They've made some good signings, reasonable signings. So let's see how they do this, how they do this season upcoming. Thomas Partey signing for Villarreal after leaving Arsenal. Also, Morata is going to sign for Como. This guy has been involved in so many transfers in the last years. I mean, he was at Juventus and then he went to Real Madrid and then he went back to Juventus, went back to Real Madrid, and he went to play for Atletico and he played Atletico for the second time. He played for AC Milan, he played for Chelsea. He plays for so many clubs, bloody hell. But yeah, and Como have a good project. Obviously, Cesc Fabregas is doing a phenomenal job there. So it's a decent signing. It's a decent signing for Morata for that kind of level club who will try to, you know, do well and compete with the big boys in Italy. So yeah, I'm now gonna close the video and make a new video and talk about one or more transfer news and preview the game in the Community Shield.